I want to tell you a story about Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson. I've been riding out this ice storm in Nashville all week and just pretty much homebound, so I started reading through some magazines, and December 29th, 2025 issue of the New Yorker magazine had a really, really nice long piece about Willie Nelson. And there's just a lot to it. It's written by Alex Abramovich. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Apologize if I'm not, Alex. It's titled Last Highway. He went on the road with Willie for quite a while last year and wrote about it. But the part that really, really caught my eye was he was at the Outlaw Festival, and there were a lot of people playing on that, but he got a quote from Bob Dylan about Willie Nelson that's just really beautiful. He kind of leads into it with Lucinda Williams and Chris Stapleton both saying that their favorite Willie Nelson songs are Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground. And it says Bob Dylan recorded it during sessions for his album Infidels in 1983 and found his own way in, turning the song's rise and fall into a hymn, digging into its rhymes as if they were his own. Leave me, if you need to, I will still remember, Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground. I sound more like William Shatner with my phrasing than I sound like Dylan, so I apologize. Mickey Raphael says he makes it sound like it's his song. I asked Dylan about Nelson, and he wrote back with a warning. Now, this is Bob Dylan talking about Willie Nelson. He says, it's hard to talk about Willie without saying something stupid or irrelevant. He is so much of everything. Bob says, how can you make sense of him? How would you define the indefinable or the unfathomable? What is there to say? Ancient Viking soul, master builder of the impossible, patron poet of people who never quite fit in and don't much care to. I think that's freaking beautiful. The patron poet of people who never quite fit in and don't much care to. Moonshine philosopher, tumbleweed singer with a PhD, red bandana troubadour, braids like twin ropes lassoing eternity. What do you say about a guy who plays an old battered guitar that he treats like it's the last loyal dog in the universe? That's good stuff. Cowboy apparition, writes songs with holes that you can crawl through to escape from something. Voice like a warm porch light left on for wanderers who kissed goodbye too soon or stayed too long. I guess you could say all that, but it really doesn't tell you a lot or explain anything about Willie. Personally speaking, I've always known him to be kind, generous, tolerant, and understanding of human feebleness, a benefactor, a father, and a friend. He's like the invisible air. He's high and low. He's in harmony with nature, and that's what makes him Willie. That's Bob Dylan talking about Willie Nelson. And it would be the understatement of the century to say that Bob has a way with words, but I always get a big kick out of when Dylan talks about someone that he actually admires and has respect for. And you can tell Willie is exactly that. It goes pretty deep, and there's a little bit of a career retrospective, but it also talks about what's going on like right now with Willie. And it begins with when Willie Nelson performs in and around New York, he parks his bus in Weehawken, New Jersey. While the band sleeps at a hotel in Midtown, Manhattan, he stays on board, playing dominoes, napping. Wilson keeps musicians' hours. For exercise, he does sit-ups, arm rolls, and leg lifts. He jogs in place. I'm in pretty good shape physically for 92, he told me. He said, woke up again this morning, so that's good. The writer says he did a leg with Willie on the road back in June and July, and they did a recording session over at East Irish Studio in Berry Hill. Willie did. And just a little context for you guys. If you've watched YouTube and you've seen some guitar folks like Guthrie Trapp or Tom Bukovac go over to Blackbird Studios or Glazer Guitars. That's in Berry Hill. That's like right by. It's a little bitty area. And kind of the music business moved over there from Music Row at some point. Just a lot of great studios there. But East Irish Studio says that he went and got to watch Willie do a recording session where he recorded 10 songs in a day to be an album. And while there, they talked about once in the 1980s when Willie recorded 4 albums in one day. 4 albums in one day. I'm not going to claim that everyone should record like this, but God, I love that there's somebody that does. Somebody that still does. And when we talk about Willie and Bob Dylan, like, they're the cats that just want to go play and record it and let's see what it sounds like. And it says he was with his producer, Buddy Cannon, behind the mixing board. Nelson sang 10 songs in 4 hours. Most of an album he'll release in spring, a record of Rodney Crowell songs. Oh, What a Beautiful World had come out in April. Working Man, Willie Sings Merle, was slated for November, which I heard a little bit of that on Outlaw Country, and I thought it sounded really great. Once in the 80s, Nelson recorded 4 albums in a single day, but a session like this one still felt like a solid day's work. Cannon, a soft-spoken 70-year-old with glasses and a neat white mustache, first saw Nelson in the late 60s at a small club in Chicago's North Side. He went on to play bass in Mel Tillis's band, then wrote for George Strait and produced for Kenny Chesney. He and Nelson started working together in 2008. At the time, Nelson's albums were leaning towards standards and covers. One day, Cannon woke up to a series of texts, lines of new lyrics, followed by a question. "What do you think?" Cannon sent a few lines in response, and Nelson replied, "Put a melody to it and send it back to me." Proceeding in that fashion, they wrote Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die, a song that Nelson still plays in concert. It says Nelson doesn't mind doing 2 or 3 takes of a number. He bristles at 4. Don Was, who produced Nelson's album Across the Borderline in 1992, told me about recording the title track in Dublin, where Nelson had a night off from touring. They spent an hour working out the arrangements, talking, not playing, then went for the first take. Halfway through the second verse, Don Was thought, "Oh man, this is unbelievable. Please don't mess it up." He plays this incredible solo in the middle. Third verse, "I'm really freaking out. Please, nobody." And nobody did. Chris Christopherson added harmonies, and that was the only overdub. Then Nelson rolled a joint and marked it with a Sharpie 3/4 of the way down on the joint. He told the house engineers, "I'm going to smoke this joint. When it gets burned down to the blue dot, your mix is done." 45 minutes later, it was. That's the mix on the album, Don Was says. I will say one more time, not everybody needs to record like that, make albums like that. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I'm so glad that there's still people out there doing that. There's people watching this who record like that, and that's the way Willie came up. That's how things were in Nashville back in the day. They just would go for it and do it, and there's still a lot of that around. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. It's the New Yorker. I bought this. I saw part of the article online. I looked it up. Couldn't find anywhere. Newsstands are all dead. I couldn't find anywhere. Amy had a New Yorker subscription that expired a few months earlier, and I finally found this on eBay for about $5, and somebody mailed it to me, and it was a very welcome thing to sit during this ice storm and read. I don't know if you've seen anything about this ice storm in Nashville, but it's been really, really bad, and a lot of the people who have been on this channel have been without power, and living in hotels or just sitting in the cold all week. At night, it's been getting down to, I think the lowest was around 2 degrees or 1 degree above 0 Fahrenheit. And every night it's been well under 20. And that's very cold for Nashville. That's very cold. When we first moved here, our pipes froze at 18 degrees. And we weren't taking it serious, but 18 degrees and they froze. So houses aren't quite equipped for it. So I've been sick all week. Today's the first day I felt comfortable enough to get out of bed. I mean, that's been 8 days, but I've had electricity, so I feel great about that. And I appreciate you guys being here. And I don't know if you guys read this. Maybe if I could find a link online, I'll put a link down below or whatever. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And I'll put a link right here to a great compilation of Willie Nelson stuff that I think you guys will really appreciate. A lot of people who've been around Willie telling personal stories and interactions. I'll put that right here. And I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.